The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. The government will roll out the fuel subsidy for drivers and operators starting tomorrow, Wednesday, September 13. Those with modern jeepneys and UV Expresses will receive 10,000 pesos each. Drivers and operators of traditional jeeps, UV Express, bus, minibus, taxi, TNVS, and school service vehicles will be given 6,500 pesos. Meanwhile, 1,000 pesos will be distributed to tricycle drivers, while delivery drivers get 1,200 pesos each. The fuel subsidy is expected to benefit about 1.36 million operators and drivers nationwide. Since January, the prices of diesel have gone up to over 10 pesos per liter and 15 pesos a liter for gasoline prices. Just today, petroleum is more expensive again, with diesel products by up to 40 centavos a liter and gasoline and kerosene up by 20 centavos per liter. 1 week into the implementation of the rice price ceiling, stakeholders are already asking for its lifting. With a staple still as expensive as ever, retailers and farmer groups believe that the government intervention is a failure. Shaila Francisco with the story.
Since last week, Net, a senior citizen, has been having a hard time looking for cheaper rice. She's been going around markets to find the 41 peso regular milled and 45 peso well-milled rice. Finally today, she found several stores selling the capped price. However, she was disappointed over the poor quality of the grains and the restriction on how much she can purchase. Rice retailers have imposed a limit on kilos of the staple they sell per customer to avoid running out of supply.
Hindi. Kasi apat kami sa family. Siguro mga 5 kilos is enough for me. Kung maraming supply, hindi tayo ganito sa taas ng bilihin. Basic commodities natin yan mga Pilipino. Dapat yan ang pinapahalagahan ng gobyerno. Nahihirapan silang ibaba. Saan kami kukuha? Saan kami bibili?
Retailers said that even with the price ceiling, supply of rice in the market has not increased. This is why most of rice varieties still go for 50 to 70 pesos per kilo. While vendors want to purchase more of the cheaper rice, suppliers are giving them less than what they want to order.
Hindi naman sapat kasi kontrolado nga. Pero kung nilabas lahat, mararamdaman ng taong bayan. Kasi nga may limit ang bigay ng sa amin, yung mababa. Kaya yung bigay rin namin sa customer, may limit din.
Even farmers are affected by the price cap. The Federation of Free Farmers said that farm gate prices have dropped 3 pesos a kilo as traders are buying at lower prices to comply with the ceiling.
I think the sad part here is ang tinamaan talaga yung magsasaka kung bababa pa yung presyo ng palay. And to think na nagmahal ang abono, nagmahal ang krudo, inaasahan ng mga maraming magsasaka ngayon sana sila makabawi, yung ginto naging bato pa. No, because of the price ceiling.
They are now calling for the lifting of the price cap since it has been ineffective anyway in lowering prices and controlling hoarders and profiteers.
I think it was a mistake. No, it was done in good faith. No, but the sooner they take it away, I think the better for the consumers, for the retailers, for farmers, and also the government. Kung ineffective yan, why not do it now?
The group said there will be no issues with the lifting of the price ceiling as rice prices are to become cheaper by the 3rd week of September due to the harvest season. The Agriculture and Trade departments have yet to respond to the appeal of rice stakeholders, but the government said the price cap's effectivity could end within 2 to 3 weeks' time. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
More stories coming your way after a quick break. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. Deputy Speaker Gloria Arroyo wants former President Rodrigo Duterte to make a political comeback. Asked about what transpired during her meeting last week with Duterte and former Senate President Tito Soto, the former chief executive turned lawmaker said, and we quote, "I think Senator Bongo already disclosed what happened." Go earlier revealed that Arroyo urged Duterte to return to government, to which XPRRD only, quote, smiled at. The senator, however, said Duterte will consult with his family about the matter. Moving on, Gen Z shoppers are increasingly calling the shots when it comes to brands, clothing, or otherwise. But there are challenges to affordability. Cathy Yang sat down with Philippine retailer Bernie Liu, who discussed how the industry is grappling with the steep cost of sustainable fashion. Watch this.
Being mindful of prices. You keep mentioning price as really an important point that we should bring up, because cost is another challenge whenever you talk about stewardship, sustainability, sustainable fashion. It's really the millennials and the Gen Z who look at your products, what you offer, and the kinds of brands. But they may be supportive, but they probably won't have the money just yet to purchase what they see as something they'd like to, but might not be at the price point that they'd want to. So how do you convince the millennials and the Gen Z that it's worth the purchase?
Well, it's a given, Kathy. The young people do not have the kind of disposable income, I suppose, as opposed to those who are working. But price plays an important role. That's why, as companies, it's important that we really look at our value chain. We look at the areas where we can really reduce costs, reduce waste, and translate those savings to our customers. A lot of the millennials now are sensitive about what products or what brands they buy, especially those that are better companies, better behaved companies. But yes, it's true. How do we convince them? Well, you have to have the right products at the right price, and hopefully with the right marketing tools and the right store experience that we offer them, will entice them to patronize responsible companies that puts a lot of emphasis on what's important to them.
Did you keep prices as is, or
Yes.
did you have to raise?
Well, inflation has been high. It's now more expensive to buy our goods now or to produce our goods. But it has been maintained at a reasonable level, taking into consideration the willingness of our customers to also pay. So that's important, and we're mindful of that too.
There's two balancing forces here. When you talk about the fashion industry, it's really, when you talk sustainability, it's carbon footprint on one side, where you want to be less on that. But at the very same time, you don't want to be diminishing quality or maybe even longevity, if only to make it less of a carbon footprint. So how do you balance these considerations then when you decide where to source and how to reduce waste?
It's important that we have a very strong partnership with our vendors, with the people that we work with. And I'm proud to say that we have a very strong vendor relations program. We work with our vendors. We work with them on even in the planning stage, so that they don't unnecessarily store up on fabrics or items that we won't be able to purchase from them. And to my point earlier, I said about disposable fashion. And again, those are the kind of fashion that I would say that contributes to the carbon footprint, because you don't want to create clothes that people wear only once or twice, and then they throw it away, because the cost and the resources needed to produce those items is also a lot.
Catch the full interview with Bernie Liu of the Penshop Group on Thought Leaders with Cathy Yang tonight, September 12 at 9 p.m. only here on One News. Let's now take a look at the day's global headlines. The death toll for Morocco's magnitude 6.8 earthquake climbs to over 2,800. Search and rescue operations are ongoing as authorities are not losing hope for survivors under collapsed structures. This is Morocco's deadliest tremor since 1960. Several nations have already promised assistance, including the Philippines. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is now in Russia for a, quote, comprehensive discussion with President Vladimir Putin. Kim arrived on his private train accompanied by top arms industry and army officials and the foreign minister. U.S. officials had earlier said that Russia and North Korea are actively engaged in discussions with Pyongyang, likely to provide Moscow with weapons for the war against Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden hailed the fortitude of Americans on the 22nd anniversary of the September 11 terror attacks. In a visit to the military base in Alaska, Biden called on Americans to never forget 9/11. In 2001, nearly 3,000 people died when hijackers flew planes into New York's World Trade Center towers and the Pentagon. Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the suicide attacks that later on triggered a U.S.-led war in Afghanistan. One News Now will be back at 6 p.m. with the day's latest stories. See you then. I'm Denise Tan. We are One News.